The WWE Draft is starting this Friday, April 26th, and continuing on Monday Night Raw. Of course, we know the draft is such an exciting time. It's a huge shakeup for the WWE rosters. We have potential champions switching brands. We have NXT call-ups. We have other superstars heading down to NXT to work on their craft. It's a very, very exciting time, and today we're going to be talking about the Monday Night Raw roster in particular. Of course, there's going to be videos on SmackDown, NXT, and free agents as well, so make sure you guys check the channel out for those videos. But let's get into it. So first things first, I want to talk about the superstars that I think are going to be staying on Raw. For one, Seth Rollins is going to be off air for a while. I don't even think he's going to be mentioned in this draft because he's injured right now, so I'm not sure if he's going to be mentioned or not, but safe to say Seth Rollins probably stays on Raw. And for Raw's first pick, I think this makes a lot of sense. Damian Priest and the Judgment Day will be staying on Raw. I think Damian Priest and the Judgment Day have a lot more storyline to continue, and breaking them up at this moment, at least brand-wise, makes no sense. I also think Sami Zayn and the Intercontinental Championship stays on Raw as well. I do not want them to switch those just yet. I think that SmackDown needs Logan Paul and needs the United States Championship, so that's going to stay put. Sami Zayn stays on Raw, defends the belt for a while. And of course, some other big names that I think would stay on Raw: Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Liv Morgan, Gunther. Those are names I don't see going anywhere, not at least for this draft. But let's get to the exciting stuff. Let's talk about the shakeups, the superstars that are going to be coming to Raw. First things first, I think Bayley, the WWE Women's Champion, will be coming over to Raw. I think the women's champions are going to swap brands, not swap belts. I don't think that makes sense. I don't know, but I definitely think they're going to swap brands. I think Bayley comes over to Raw, and I also think that Damage Control comes to Raw. That is Dakota Kai, Io Sky, and the Kabuki Warriors, with the women's tag team championships coming over to Raw as well. They've been on SmackDown for quite a bit, I feel like, and maybe bringing them over to Raw, giving some more women's tag team champion opportunities over here would be good. Also, a new landscape for Damage Control to kind of seep into and start some feuds here and there with all the women on Raw. I think Damage Control and Liv would be a great rivalry. I think Damage Control and Rhea Ripley, whenever she comes back, that could be cool. But I do see the entirety of Damage Control making their way over to Raw. And those aren't the only champions I think that are coming to Raw. I think A-Town Down Under comes over to Raw as well in the draft. I believe that the SmackDown and Raw tag team champions are going to switch. The belts are going to stay on the right brands, of course, but I think they're going to switch. They're both entertaining tag teams, so it's going to be like a little bit awkward, but they're going to make funny segments out of it, and I think it's going to work. I think A-Town Down Under need more time on camera. I think Raw, with it being a longer show, gives opportunity for superstars to really show what they got. And sometimes I feel like SmackDown's a little bit rushed, and you don't get to see guys like Austin Theory and Grayson Waller really show what they can do. So hopefully they have more of a chance on Raw. And speaking of superstars who need more time on air, LA Knight. Yeah, I think LA Knight on Raw makes a ton of sense. I feel like he just doesn't get enough time on SmackDown. He's so good at what he does, and I don't think he gets enough promo time on SmackDown, which is totally fair, but I think on Raw, he'll have that luxury, and you give him more time for promos. You give him more feuds, longer feuds. You got matches with Austin Theory, Grayson Waller potentially. Maybe he goes for that Intercontinental Championship. That makes a lot of sense. Maybe he goes for some big matches. Damian Priest, Gunther. Those could be fun ones. Maybe, potentially. I think LA Knight's ready. Speaking of guys who are ready, Ilya Dragunov just lost the NXT Championship to Trick Williams, and I think that officially sets him up for the main roster. More specifically, we saw him debut on Raw a few weeks ago. Ilya Dragunov is getting called up to the main roster on Raw. Everybody wants it. It's got to happen. The guy's ready. He's a gosh darn specimen. He's a specimen. He can just wrestle. He can do promos, and he's gonna have some great matches, some great feuds with guys like Damian Priest. We saw him and Damian Priest have a little interaction on NXT recently, so that might set something up for that. Obviously, he's gonna run it back with Gunther. That makes the most sense. Everybody wants it. Ilya Dragunov and Sami Zayn. Imagine that match down the road. I want it. Ilya Dragunov coming to Raw. It's gotta happen. And speaking of call-ups, I think Carmelo Hayes gets called up to Raw as well. I believe he showed up on SmackDown a few times in the past, but I kind of think he fits more on Raw. I don't know, but he could maybe feud with guys like Sami Zayn or, Santos Escobar, who I think is going to also be drafted. Let's talk about Santos Escobar. Santos Escobar is going to be drafted to Raw. We got to separate LWO and Legado del Fantasma. That has been going on for way too long. I'm going to be honest. It's boring the heck out of me. When I see the LWO in a tag team match, I love the individuals. They're great. I get it, but it's just like we've had the same thing over and over and over. We just need a shakeup. We need a fresh environment. I'm sure they wanted to. So Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma, Fantasma gotta come over to Raw. Leave LWO on SmackDown. Bring the boys over to Raw. They can feud, have some fun ones. Maybe Legado del Fantasma and Judgment Day go at it for a little bit because obviously they've been intertwined recently. That could be fun. And actually, I got one more main roster call up from NXT. Give me Valkyrie. I think she fits well on Raw. I know she just lost the championship match, but I feel like she's ready. She's been a champion before. I don't really know what else there is for her in NXT. I mean, her staying wouldn't be the craziest thing either. I just think that it's possible for her to come to Raw. She can feud with, like, I don't know, Damage Control. I could see them picking on her as like the new girl or whatever. It makes sense in my eyes. I think that's what's so fun about fantasy drafting and fantasy booking and wrestling is that there are so many options and feuds and storylines that they could do. It kind of doesn't matter. It's just about like what you want to see. But at the end of the day, it's got to be entertaining. It's got to make sense. And I think that my Raw predictions make a lot of sense. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Did I miss anything? Did I get anything wrong? Do you guys have a different opinion? Let me know. I'm serious. I love wrestling, fantasy booking, fantasy drafting. So I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on why some of these work, why some of these don't work, and if I missed anything. Now, obviously, this makes a lot more sense if you guys watch my other WWE draft prediction videos. So make sure you guys watch those. It'll make a lot more sense when you put it all together. So stay tuned to the channel for those videos. And again, let me know in the comments what you guys think. The WWE draft is coming up in no time. It's going to be exciting. I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome.